Oh, okay. Let's talk. Before I go any further, without even getting into my intro, I want to put a big disclaimer out there. I do not hate Dr. Witnesser, nor do I think he himself should be condemned to hell. Although maybe some of the things I say may come across like I hate him, I don't, and I want to make that very clear right off the bat. But with that said, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody out there on YouTube, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is for you, I genuinely hope you are doing well. Recently, we've had a very large influx of subscribers, and some of whom have mentioned to me that you came from a comment that I placed on a video on Dr. Witnesser's channel, encouraging him to stop creating content because this just ain't it for him. And also, at one point, I don't remember exactly how I phrased it, but I basically said this is not what Christianity is actually supposed to look like. So if you're one of those people, drop in the comment section real quick and let me know. I'm hopeful to be a positive witness to you regardless of your choice in whether or not you choose to follow Christ in your life. But now to the meat of this. Dr. Witnesser is a fairly new Christian from what I've been able to gather, and from what many other believers and content creators that I aspire to be and look up to in a lot of ways have also been able to gather. Dr. Witnesser is a very, very new believer, and in his newness of faith, as many of us did, he's making mistakes. The only difference is that he's doing it in the limelight. He's doing it on a live stream on the internet. Every single Christian that I've known, myself included, has strayed too far into the too much truth, which is where Dr. Witnesser is, and the other side of that, which these two things together balance, but love, too much love, where I'm just gonna love people, man. I'm just gonna hippie my way to Christianity. You can't do that, all right? Both sides are in very, very wrong, and part of the local church's job and your pastor's job, not the pastor, not the head pastor, but pastor's plural job, is to disciple you and train you up so that when you do share your faith, it's authentic, number one, and number two, you continually are encouraged to find that balance between truth and love. Dr. Witnesser is straying way, way far into the truth category, and many of us as believers would call him a legalist. What I mean by that is someone that would say things like he has said, whether he wants to acknowledge it or not. He did, in fact, tell a Muslim child that he was going to hell. It's not just a tabloid thing. He's been clipped multiple times saying this. There are so many issues with that, and I don't know that I really need to get into that. What I want to share today is what I have done to try and remedy the problem, because this is something that I don't think anybody's talking about. As a believer, one of the things that I find most important when I stumble is those that are surrounding me to hold me accountable. Those that are surrounding me enough to say, hey, David, I love you to death as a brother in Christ, but you're screwing up, man. Here's where you're dropping the ball. And the biblical way to do that, I believe, is found in Matthew 18. I'm going to check myself on that reference. Phones, amazing. Bible's right here in our palms. All right, here is the passage. It was actually Matthew 18 I was thinking of. I start in verse 15. I'm just going to share this with you. If you're not a believer here, please take a second to just watch this. You don't have to. You can skip the video, turn it off completely, but would you do me a favor and just listen to this, all right? If your brother sins, go and show him his fault in private. If he listens to you, you have won your brother. But if he does not listen to you, take one or two more with you, so that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every fact may be confirmed. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. For context in the time, Gentiles are, by definition, by the way, anybody who wasn't Jewish, essentially, in that time frame. I am using very loose terms. Those of you that are theologians and super Bible knowledge people, I love and respect you, but please don't go bashing me in the comments. This is very much meant to be simple. Apparently, I need to keep it simpler, because I can't even bother with simple English right now. And tax collectors were also kind of rejected of society. So what this verse is actually saying is, the first part of it talks about what these verses start talking about right off the bat. This is very important. If your brother sins against you personally is what this passage is referring to. And many people have argued with me that this doesn't apply with him because he has not sinned against me. He absolutely has. He hasn't personally attacked me. He hasn't done anything. He probably doesn't even know who I am, to be honest with you. But that is actually, in and of itself, the problem. When he first got banned on Twitch for telling that Muslim kid he was going to hell, he got banned, I believe, for 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. It was a fairly lengthy ban, but it was not an indefinite ban. And he posted all over his social medias on TikTok, Twitter. I believe he even posted on Instagram, as many people have told me about this. He made it sound like he was being completely and totally chased after because of his faith. He was being, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll come to me. Give me a minute. The word is not coming to me for whatever reason, and it actually has been about a minute since I started thinking about it, but you're probably like, it's this word, David, and I'm sorry. But essentially, he labeled himself a martyr, as it were, for the Christian faith, basically saying that Twitch doesn't like Christians and that they're just banning him because of the truth. No, I can tell you objectively speaking, that's not why they banned him. The reason I can say objectively speaking that is not why they banned him is because I have actually said on a live stream before on Twitch, hey, here's the truth of the gospel. If you're like me and you've committed any kind of sin, and the Bible would say a couple things that every single one of us have done in our lives are sin. Number one, you ever told a lie? You're a sinner. Have you ever had anger in your heart? The Bible actually would say you're a murderer at heart, which is pretty wild. The other part that's very similar to that I always mention is that if you have lusted after someone, whether they are a guy or a gal in your heart, you're an adulterer at heart. That's crazy, right? So that means that even if you've done one of those three things, by the way, according to the Bible, you don't end up in heaven and you are sentenced to judgment for it. But that's where I think he screws up, is he leaves it there. He doesn't give you any hope after that. He just says, here's your diagnosis. That's like you go into a doctor's office, you get, some horrible disease. Let's say, and I hate to say it this way, but hear me out. You get cancer, and the doctor doesn't say when you have, the very entry portions of cancer that there's a potential solution. They just say, you have cancer. And that's it. The way this should be taught is saying that, yes, that's the truth, but the balance is saying to them, but Jesus came, lived a perfect and blameless life, died, rose again 3 days later, and in doing that, he conquered death, becoming the bridge that covers the gap between you and a loving God that you created by being a sinner. So not only are your decisions something that you don't have to take ownership for, you don't have to pay that penalty unless you choose to, essentially, is what I'm saying. You get to be in a relationship with a loving God at the end of that. How crazy is that? He never says that. I've not seen him one time share the hope that lies in the gospel. My issue with him is that I saw that and I went, okay, he's a new brother, or even if he's a brother in Christ who's been a believer for a long time, the right way to handle this is for me to try and reach out to him. I tried. This was last year. I tried reaching out to him through Twitter DMs, through Instagram DMs, and one other place which is escaping me right now. I actually, it wasn't another place. I tweeted a video when he left me on read. I want that to be clear. He read both messages. He never responded. And I tried tweeting at him because he continued to make this way, way, way bigger than what it actually was, which was him making a mistake. He refuses to take ownership for his mistakes, and he wants to continue to put that off and blame it on others, i.e. Twitch or a platform that bans him for hate speech, which is really what he's doing. I'm making this video for really a couple of purposes. Number one, Dr. Witnesser, if you're watching this, quit making content. And I'm not saying that permanently. Take a break. Lean into some really helpful discipleship in your local church that is going to teach you how to balance the truth in love. Because you are continually, every time you go live or create a video, painting a very bad picture for anybody who is trying to use gaming as an outreach to talk to people about Christ. You are not going about this in a biblical way. That is the first part of this, and I really hope he watches this. Is it likely? Probably not, and if he does, he'll probably leave it on red. The other part of this is to the rest of you, especially that have come and subscribed to my channel since having seen the comment that I made on Dr. Witnesser's video. I know that's received a lot of traction because people have replied to that comment, and it's probably one of the most liked comments that's in his comment section on that video. Not the most, but one of the most. I want you to know that the Bible actually says that even while we were still yet sinners, Christ died for us. So even while you, like me, at one point in my life, and I still struggle with sin every day, but even you who is struggling with whatever your sin is right now, whatever the Bible would term as a sin that you're struggling with, even you, he died for you while you are still a sinner. And I guarantee you, Christ wouldn't have died for you if he didn't love you. That is the reality of this. Is your sin a reality? Absolutely. But is the reality that God still loves you? Yes. Biblically, that is the reality. And I just want you to know that if you're subscribed to my channel right now and you're not a believer, you don't have to be a believer to be here. Period. End of story. If I'm live streaming and you want to talk to me about faith, or if you want to drop a comment below and ask about faith, if you want it anytime, you're welcome to ask. And I'm still going to talk to you about faith occasionally, but I'm not going to shove it down your throat like this guy does. Please don't let him be the thing that poisons the water from you ever choosing to find faith. That is what I want to ask today. That is the second reason I wanted to make this video. Listen, if you found this video helpful in any way, hopefully it was, would you please bless that like button? And man, listen, if you thought it was the stupidest video ever and you thought I was just a horrible, heartless pain in the butt, condemn this video to the dislike button. I promise you I will still love you. And until next video, this is Bearden for Hope, signing off.